You know that feeling when you're scrolling through Instagram at 2 o'clock in the morning, and everyone your age seems to have their life together? Like they're out here buying houses, taking vacations to Bali, driving cars that don't make weird sounds when you turn left. Meanwhile, you're celebrating because you found a coupon for toilet paper, and you start wondering, am I the only one who's completely failing at being an adult, or is everyone else just really good at faking it? Well, today I'm going to tell you about the 5 money mistakes that literally everyone in their 20s makes. And the crazy part is, most people have no idea they're even making them until it's way too late. My name is Mellie, and I help people understand money, personal finance, and why some people seem to effortlessly build wealth, while others stay stuck making the same mistakes for decades. If you're someone who wants to actually understand how money works instead of just hoping things will magically work out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up helping you avoid some seriously expensive mistakes. Before we dive into these 5 mistakes, let me ask you something. When you got your first real paycheck from your first real job, what did you do? Did you immediately start thinking about retirement accounts and investment strategies? Or did you think, I've been eating ramen for 4 years straight, I deserve that $200 brunch with bottomless mimosas? Because here's the thing, the mistakes we make with money in our 20s aren't random. They follow predictable patterns. And once you understand these patterns, you can avoid the financial disasters that derail most people before they even get started. The first mistake that almost everyone makes is something called lifestyle inflation. And this one is so sneaky that you won't even realize it's happening until you're suddenly broke despite making more money than ever before. Here's how it works. You graduate from college, or you get a promotion, or you finally land that job that pays actual money instead of exposure and experience. And suddenly you're looking at your bank account thinking, I'm rich. I can finally afford things. I deserve nice things after all that sacrifice. So you upgrade your apartment, not by a little bit. You go from a place with roommates where the bathroom door doesn't quite close to a 1 bedroom with exposed brick and a kitchen island. Your rent just jumped from $800 to $1,800. But it's fine because you're making more money now. Then you start ordering delivery instead of cooking because you're tired after work and you deserve convenience. $15 here, $25 there. Before you know it, you're spending $400 a month on food that shows up in little plastic containers. You upgrade your phone every year because the new one has a slightly better camera. You start buying coffee every morning because making it at home feels like too much effort. You subscribe to every streaming service because you might want to watch that one show eventually. And here's the really insane part. You're making $20,000 more per year than you were 2 years ago, but somehow you have less money saved. How is that even possible? It's possible because every single dollar of that raise got absorbed by lifestyle upgrades that you convinced yourself were necessities. Think about it this way. If you were surviving on $40,000 per year before, that means you proved you could live on $40,000. But then you got a raise to $60,000, and instead of banking that extra $20,000, you immediately found ways to spend all of it. A nicer apartment, a better car, fancier restaurants, more expensive clothes. And now you're right back where you started, living paycheck to paycheck, except now you're doing it with a better address. Research shows that people typically increase their spending by 50 cents for every additional dollar they earn. That means if you get a $10,000 raise, you'll probably spend an extra $5,000 without even thinking about it. It happens so gradually that you don't notice. One subscription here, one upgrade there. But those small increases compound over time until you've completely inflated your lifestyle to match your income, leaving nothing left over to actually build wealth. The fix for lifestyle inflation is simple, but it requires discipline that most people don't have. When you get a raise, pretend you didn't get it. Seriously, if you were living fine on your previous salary, keep living on that same amount and automatically direct the difference to savings or investments. Your lifestyle stays the same, but your net worth starts growing. This doesn't mean you can never enjoy your increased income. It just means you do it intentionally instead of letting it slip away on things you won't even remember buying 6 months from now. The second mistake that's quietly destroying your financial future is paying only the minimum on your credit card. And this one makes me want to scream because credit card companies are literally counting on you to do this. They've run the numbers. They know exactly what percentage of people will fall into this trap, and they're making billions of dollars off of it. Here's what happens. You have a $2,000 balance on your credit card, and when your statement comes, it says your minimum payment is $40. So you pay $40 because that's what it says to pay. You feel responsible. You made a payment. You're managing your debt. Except here's what they don't tell you in big, bold letters on that statement. If you only pay the minimum, it will take you over 6 years to pay off that $2,000, and you'll pay nearly $1,500 in interest. That means the stuff you bought for $2,000 actually cost you $3,500. You basically paid for it twice. Credit card interest rates in 2025 average around 22%. Some cards are even higher. That means if you're carrying a balance, your debt is growing by 22% every year that you don't pay it off. Meanwhile, the stock market historically returns about 10% annually. So not only are you losing 22% to interest, you're also missing out on potential investment gains. It's like running up a down escalator while carrying weights. You're working twice as hard to make half the progress. And here's the really maddening part. The credit card companies design those minimum payments specifically to keep you in debt as long as possible, while making you feel like you're being responsible. They're not trying to help you pay off the debt. They're trying to extract as much interest from you as they legally can. That $40 minimum payment mostly goes toward interest, with just a tiny fraction actually reducing your principal balance, which is why it takes 6 years to pay off $2,000. You're basically paying them a monthly subscription fee for the privilege of staying in debt. The solution is brutal but effective. Stop paying the minimum. Pay as much as you possibly can toward your credit card balance every single month. If you have multiple cards, focus on the one with the highest interest rate first while paying minimums on the others. This is called the avalanche method, and it saves you the most money. Or if you need psychological wins to stay motivated, pay off the smallest balance first and work your way up. That's the snowball method. Either way works. What doesn't work is paying minimums and hoping things will somehow work out. And if you're already deep in credit card debt, here's something that might change your perspective. Paying off debt with a 22% interest rate gives you a guaranteed 22% return on your money. Show me an investment that guarantees 22% returns. You can't because it doesn't exist, which means paying off high interest debt is literally the best investment you can make right now. Better than stocks, better than real estate, better than crypto. Every dollar you put toward that debt is earning you more than almost any other financial decision you could make. The third mistake that derails people financially is treating their emergency fund like it's optional. Or worse, treating it like a vacation fund that they dip into whenever something interesting comes up. According to recent data, 27% of Americans have absolutely nothing saved for emergencies. Zero. And 56% couldn't cover a $1,000 unexpected expense with cash. Think about that for a second. $1,000. That's not buying a house or funding a year of travel. We're talking about a modest car repair, a minor medical bill, or replacing a broken appliance. More than half of Americans would have to go into debt to handle this basic life event. And here's the thing that makes this even worse. Unexpected expenses aren't actually unexpected. Your car will eventually need repairs. Your laptop will eventually die. You or someone you love will eventually need to see a doctor. Your apartment will eventually have something break. These aren't surprises, they're mathematical certainties. But most people act like they'll never happen, like they're somehow immune to the basic laws of physics and probability that apply to everyone else. When you don't have an emergency fund, every unexpected expense becomes a financial crisis that derails your entire month or even your entire year. Your car needs repairs, so you put it on a credit card. Now you're paying 22% interest on top of the repair cost. Or you have to skip paying another bill to cover the emergency, which triggers late fees and penalties. Or you have to sell investments at exactly the wrong time. It's like financial dominoes. One problem knocks over the next, and suddenly you're dealing with a cascade of issues that could have been avoided with a simple cash buffer. The psychological impact of not having emergency savings is even more devastating than the financial impact. When you're living one unexpected expense away from disaster, you're operating in constant survival mode. You can't think strategically about building wealth or advancing your career because you're too busy dealing with immediate threats. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire. Your brain literally can't focus on growth and opportunity when it's consumed by fear and scarcity. Research from Vanguard shows that having just $2,000 in emergency savings increases your financial well being by 21%. $2,000. That's less than most people spend on a vacation. But that small buffer creates a massive psychological shift because it moves you out of pure survival mode. And when you push that emergency fund to 3 to 6 months of living expenses, you get another boost in financial well being. More importantly, you've created enough breathing room for your brain to start thinking about wealth building instead of just wealth preservation. Here's how to actually build an emergency fund without it feeling overwhelming. Start by saving your first $500 as quickly as possible. Cut back on non essentials. Sell stuff you don't need. Work extra hours if you can. Do whatever it takes to get that initial buffer in place. Then aim for $1,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 3 months. Breaking it down into smaller milestones makes it feel achievable instead of impossible. And keep your emergency fund in a completely separate savings account. Don't keep it in a checking account where you'll be tempted to spend it. Make it slightly inconvenient to access so you have to really think about whether something qualifies as an emergency. That new jacket you saw on sale is not an emergency. Your transmission dying is an emergency. Learn the difference. The fourth mistake that costs people literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over their lifetime is thinking investing is too complicated or that they need a lot of money to start, so they just don't do it. They keep all their money in a savings account, earning basically nothing while inflation slowly erodes their purchasing power. Or they spend everything they earn because they figure they'll start investing later when they have more money. Except later never comes because there's always something else that needs the money first. Here's something that will blow your mind. If you invest $200 per month starting at age 25 and earn an average 8% return, by the time you're 65, you'll have over $600,000. But if you wait until you're 35 to start investing that same $200 per month, you'll only have about $300,000. That's a $300,000 difference just from starting 10 years earlier, even though you invested the exact same amount per month. That extra decade gives your money time to compound, and compound interest is basically magic that makes money multiply itself. But most people in their 20s don't invest because they think they need thousands of dollars to get started, or they think investing is only for rich people or finance bros who wear suits and say things like the market is quite volatile today. The truth is, you can start investing with as little as $10. There are apps now that let you invest spare change from your everyday purchases. You can open a Roth IRA, which is a retirement account where your money grows completely tax-free, with almost no minimum. And you don't need to pick individual stocks like you're some Wall Street genius. Index funds and ETFs let you own tiny pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies all at once. It's like buying a slice of the entire economy instead of trying to guess which individual companies will succeed. This strategy is so effective that even billionaire investors like Warren Buffett recommend it for most people. And the best part is it requires almost zero effort or knowledge once you set it up. The biggest obstacle to investing isn't money or knowledge. It's psychology. When you're young, retirement feels so far away that it doesn't seem real. You can't imagine being 65. It feels like a lifetime away. So investing for retirement feels like saving money for a version of yourself that doesn't even exist yet. Why would you sacrifice today for some hypothetical future person? But here's what nobody tells you. That future person is you. They're not some stranger. They're you at 65, looking back at you at 25, either grateful that you made smart decisions or deeply resentful that you wasted those years. Every month you delay investing is a month of compound growth you can never get back. Time is the most valuable asset in investing, and it's the one thing you can't buy more of no matter how much money you have. Start investing now, even if it's just a tiny amount. Your 65-year-old self will want to build a statue in your honor. The fifth mistake might be controversial, but someone has to say it. Stop dating people who have terrible money habits. I know this sounds harsh. I know love is supposed to conquer all. But here's the reality. When you build a life with someone, their financial habits become your financial habits. Their debt becomes your debt. Their inability to save becomes your problem when the car breaks down or rent is due. If you're dating someone who manages money based on vibes and hopes instead of actual planning, you're basically signing up to carry two people financially while only getting paid for one. And that's not a partnership. That's a dependent. Your partner doesn't need to be rich. They don't need a six-figure salary or a trust fund. but they do need to be financially responsible. They need to understand that paying bills on time matters, that carrying credit card debt at 22% interest is destroying their future, that having some kind of savings plan, even a small one, is a basic adult responsibility. When someone tells you they're not really a money person or that they don't do budgets, what they're actually telling you is that they expect someone else to handle the boring, responsible parts of life while they do whatever they want, and that someone else might end up being you. Financial compatibility is just as important as emotional compatibility. You can be madly in love with someone, but if they're constantly making terrible money decisions, your relationship will be defined by financial stress and arguments about money. Research shows that financial disagreements are one of the leading predictors of divorce. Money problems don't just create tension, they fundamentally change the dynamics of your relationship. Here's what to look for: someone who pays their bills on time, someone who has at least some savings, even if it's not much, someone who can talk about money without getting defensive or weird, someone who understands the difference between wants and needs, someone who doesn't expect you to fund their lifestyle while they figure things out. These aren't high standards. These are basic signs of financial maturity. And if you're with someone who doesn't meet these standards, have the money conversation now, not 5 years from now when you're trying to buy a house together, not after you're married and suddenly discover they have $50,000 in debt they never mentioned. Now, before you're legally or financially entangled. Some people will rise to the occasion and start improving their habits. Others will get defensive and tell you you're being controlling or materialistic. How they respond will tell you everything you need to know about whether this relationship has a future. Look, these 5 mistakes: lifestyle inflation, minimum payments, no emergency fund, not investing, and dating financial disasters are incredibly common. Almost everyone makes at least one of them. I've made several of them myself, but the difference between people who build wealth and people who stay broke forever isn't that wealthy people never make mistakes. It's that they recognize the mistakes and fix them before it's too late. Understanding these patterns doesn't just help you avoid financial disasters, it fundamentally changes your relationship with money. You start making intentional choices instead of just reacting to whatever happens. You start thinking strategically about your future instead of hoping things will magically work out. You start building wealth instead of just earning and spending and wondering where all the money went. The average person will earn over $2 million during their lifetime. The difference between ending up wealthy or broke isn't how much you earn, it's what you do with what you earn. And that starts with avoiding these 5 mistakes that derail most people before they even get started. Your financial future isn't determined by your salary or your background or your luck. It's determined by the daily decisions you make about money. Start making better decisions today, and your future self will thank you for it.